This is part two of our interview with Tommie Joe Marsilio. We were talking about when Attorney Marsilio was let go from the Portage County Prosecutor's Office and how she found out about that. So,
right.
Where you left off.
Absolutely, thank you. Vic, I don't know exactly what I said on the other segment, but he didn't like the word corruption, but he said, or good old boy club, but if I took out the word corruption, that I wasn't fired. He said he didn't like it. I said, I understand. I didn't ask what you like. I asked, am I fired? No. If you agree not to run this flyer, he said, and or if you run it without the word corruption, I wouldn't be fired on that basis. However, the second requirement of Vellucci was that I apologize to Kevin Poland for that flyer. And I told him I was not willing to do that because specifically I was not sorry. I had not done anything wrong. And I wouldn't apologize. And he agreed to give me a few more days to think about it, and I told him I did not need to think about it. I was not sorry, and I was not apologizing. I didn't create the good old boy club in Portage County, and although I'm sorry it exists, I'm not sorry that I called him out on it and identified it. Of interest is now the fact that, you know, a year ago Vic said I was whatever he thought I was, that there was no corruption, there was no such thing, and I saw a letter from Vic's very own office dated September 3rd, 2010, which specifically directs the Portage County Commissioners to return money that was misspent on the Portage Development Board. The letter goes on to say that if they do not return it to the general fund, that his office will be required to recoup it. So apparently I was crazy a year ago, but now even his office has committed to writing that we have some problems. So I think that's interesting. What a difference a year makes, huh?
Back then when you were fired, Victor Vellucci was quoted as saying that, quote, you had crossed the line of professional conduct, and that the ad was written allegation of corruption against fellow attorneys and elected public officials. And you're claiming that in his mind that meant illegal activity.
That's what he told me, yeah.
For the record, do you believe that anybody in public office in the, quote, good old boys club, as you call it, is guilty of any type of specific illegal activities?
Do I believe it or can I prove it?
Either one.
Do I believe it has happened? I absolutely do. As I sit here today, can I provide you sufficient proof to convict him in a criminal court of law? No, I cannot.
Okay. My last question on this subject is, after you were fired, you filed a complaint with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. What was the outcome of that investigation?
I actually have dismissed that. They found no probable cause, and I did not pursue that on the advice of my private attorney.
Okay.
So I take that back. It was not dismissed. They found no probable cause. I have not filed an appeal to that. I've been advised by my private counsel that other action is more appropriate and in my best interest.
Okay. Let's talk about why we're here. You're running for county commissioner.
I am.
How do you feel that your race is going?
Great.
How so?
There are a lot more people like me than people like them out there. And what I mean by that is enthusiasm is very high. People like me, real people, not politically well-connected, not affluent, just normal people. All of these years we've been doing what we're supposed to do. We've been working hard, going to our jobs, going to our kids' soccer games, and while we were doing what we were supposed to do, all of these inside government types have all but ruined our county and our country. And finally we get it. Finally we say, wait a minute, our leaders aren't doing what we were supposed to do. And so now what I see out there is people responding to me, not because there's anything spectacular about me, but because I'm one of us, you know. I'm a soccer mom. I grew up in a small town. I do all those things. And the idea that one of us is going to be in office, they are enthusiastic about, they are excited about, and they're ready to take our government back. We're footing the bill. We should have one of us in office.
Okay. Specifically, if you're elected as a county commissioner, what do you think you can do to make our county better, and what do you think might need to be changed to do that?
The first thing is we have to have a leader that when they speak, we know they're telling the truth. Okay? So the embarrassing, corrupt headlines must end. Particular areas that we need to look at, I think the spending is out of control. I can think off the top of my head of headlines of over $1 million of money that there was at least some concern about how it was spent. So in a budget the size of Portage County, that's a lot of money. So what are we spending money on? Is it lawful spending? Is it necessary spending? That's a good starting place. Another place that we need to look sooner than later is county employees that are not protected by the classified service. What are they doing, if anything? And is their salary appropriate? Do we need their job? Public employees get a lot of benefits. So when we start looking at individuals and what we're paying them and what kind of benefits they're getting, I think we need to make sure that each job that's being done and being paid out of tax dollars is necessary. I guess in my mind, everything in the budget needs to go under the microscope. We need to start afresh. I don't think Portage County has the kind of money in its budget to continuously give to private projects, which we have done in the past, and I would stop that. I think the only thing that we need to start off assuming that the budget should not get cut is the Portage County Sheriff. That's arguably the most legitimate function of government, is to protect our citizens and their property, and we need to make sure that Sheriff Doak has what he needs to get the job done. So that would be the last place that would be cut on my watch.
So it's expected that tomorrow, on October 1st, 2010, that there's going to be some layoffs in the county. And I believe the commissioners are going to announce that tomorrow. If you're elected, from what you just said, we can expect more folks that are on the county payroll to be let go as well.
I think what you could expect from me is if there's a job that's being done that is not essential, then I think it would be fair game for a layoff. I'm not looking to lay off jobs for sport and giggles, but by the same token, government apparently has not gotten the memo that individuals have. Families have made cuts. Families have tightened their belts. Families have lost their jobs. And it seems that some of these elitist people in government don't understand that. They need to understand that. We can't ask people to make cuts at home and not really cut the fat out of government. And we need to do that.
Let's talk about the sheriff.
Okay.
E-Portage has a really good relationship with Sheriff Doak.
Good.
And one of the things that he's always telling us about is his budget problems. Last year, E-Portage was an advocate because his budget was decreased quite a bit and almost had to have some layoffs if it wasn't for some concessions from the union.
Right.
This year, he's expecting those budgets to be even more off of last year's budget. I believe he's looking at a budget that they had at like 2007 to run a 2011 calendar year.
Right.
Can you promise those watching this video, folks that have called the Portage County Sheriff that live in the county and it takes 45 minutes to get to their house, murders that take 45 minutes to get to a crime scene, can you promise those folks that you'll find money in the budget from other places to increase the sheriff's budget back to where it needs to be to successfully run a law enforcement agency in the county?
What I will promise every citizen in Portage County is that on my watch, the very last place that you will get a budget cut is the sheriff. And on my watch, I will aggressively squeeze money out of other budgets and give it to Sheriff Doak. Not only does his budget not need to be cut, there has to be room from other budgets to move some into the sheriff's. You and me and everybody watching this video, because we've interacted with county government, that means we've seen waste. So